Hello the internet and welcome back to my channel. On the bench today I have a BBC Master from 1986. This belongs to a friend of mine, Peders, from Portugal. However, this is not coming from Portugal, it comes from the UK, from eBay UK, where my friend purchased it and had it shipped to me, and the idea is then I'm gonna ship it to him. Before doing that, we're gonna test it and make sure it works, and if something is not working, we're gonna fix it. So that's exactly what we're gonna do in this video. Now, at the beginning of April, I was going to attend the ABUG South of England. ABUG stands for Acorn and BBC Micro User Groups, and this machine was manufactured by Acorn for the BBC. And I know nothing about this machine. The other Acorn machine I've ever used in my life was an Archimedes. I think it was a 3010, but it's a complete different machine. It's based on a complete different architecture. This is based on more or less on the 6502 type of processors. The 3010 is an ARM architecture. So I thought I would take this with me at the meeting, because surely there must have been someone there able to help me with this machine. And when I arrived at ABUG, my good friend Ian offered to sit down with me and open up the machine together and understand whether it was working or not. So the first part of this video is going to be me showing you around at the ABUG South of England. I had an amazing time. I'm going to have a chat with some of the attendees and I'm going to show you some of their amazing projects. Then I'm going to sit down with Ian, still at ABUG, and we're going to open up this machine and we're going to try and start diagnosing it to understand whether it works, whether it doesn't, and if it doesn't, what needs to be done to make it 100%. And finally, we're going to be back here in the workshop and we're going to finish off the machine and test it with some software. And hopefully by the end of the video, we are going to have a fully working 1986 BBC Micro. Feel free to skip some parts. The timeline has chapters and the chapters are also down below in the description if you don't want to watch any of these sections. But enough me talking. Let me thank today's sponsor, PCBWay. And now let's rewind the clock to April 6th, 2025 in Camberley, UK, to the ABUG, South England. Good morning, everybody. I'm at the LI pub where the ABUG South of England is happening. I've joined the group this year, and I'm gonna show you around and see what the guys are up to. Let's take a look. There are plenty of people showcasing some of the projects here. I had a chance to have a chat with a few of them. The first one is Elliot. He's got a fully BBC Micro and a fully working Ethernet network. So this is Elliot.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Not bad, thank you. What are you up to? What is this?
I'm just running a couple of demos Sunday, so I just want to play around and enjoy. But I've got it Etherneted up with the SJ clock and stuff.
Yeah, I remember the Ethernet. Yes,
Yeah,
I've never seen it work.
Yeah, I managed to get my hands on the original stuff, which was yesterday, day before yesterday, on Friday, which is amazing because I've always wanted it. But
so this is working on the Ethernet.
So this clock is running. Last night, this clock was running around 5 other machines up there. Which is great.
I guess this is not TCP/IP.
No, it's Ethernet, so it's a LAN network. So you've got the clock, so you've got power for the clock, and that pushes a pulse on the system, and then you have the clock connects. So you've got 2 connections here, and the clock connects to socket boxes, and these socket boxes you've got input output, and then these go to machines. So this connects straight into the A5000.
Yeah. I only worked on an Archimedes.
Okay, yeah. What was the ARC you repaired?
3010?
Oh, 3010. Okay, yeah, they're nice machines. Yeah, I really love the big boxes. So I've got 2. I've got an A420 as well. This Veep here is playing up a bit. It's being a bit funny. It's working currently, but it was dying earlier, so I need to have a go.
It died today?
It died today. I moved it somewhere and it just stopped working, and now it's working again, but probably a RAM controller error or something like that. Beebs, the Beebs 6502.
Why is it called the Beebs?
Oh, Beebs. So BBC B, BBC Micro, it's the nickname for it. So the BBC Micro, it has a 2 megahertz 6502 running 32K of memory. So Model B's are 32K, Model A's are 16K, but most Model A's were upgraded to 32K because you can't do much at 16. Beebs, they developed the ARM on Beebs.
Yeah.
So the first ARM was in a second processor for the BBC Micro.
You have a very good memory. You're like Wikipedia.
Don't include all that. Sorry.
No. It's very interesting. It's just when I'm reading.
I was trying to explain it, but in a video, obviously, you don't want to include all that. But in a talking, you want, Sorry.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, even if I'm looking at Wikipedia and reading those things, I will forget them in 5 minutes. So clearly, you're doing a very good job.
Thank you.
No, it's very, very interesting. On this trip, I took the opportunity to return some of the vintage Apple I repaired on this channel to its owner, and it was nice to see the Apple IIc with its stunning Alps keyboard running and beeping loudly. Next, I met with Mark and Ian. Ian is trying to revive a very interesting mini computer, and Mark has kindly offered to test some of his memory modules for him. So do you mind telling me what you're doing?
Right, so this is a bench power supply in about 9 volts, which is connected via some wires which are bodged on the bottom because I forgot to bring a power lead for this. This is a gram chip tester, and you can test 4 116 chips, or the slightly bigger one, which is the 4164. And when you press the test button, it starts the test routine, and the red light with the X means bad.
Ah, okay, yeah.
And the blue light with the tick means good.
So basically, if it says it's bad, it's definitely bad. But if it says it's good, it might still be bad. Okay.
Yeah.
And where are these chips coming from?
That you'll have to ask.
So they're from a Tektronix 4052. Yeah, so it's a bit of a beast of a machine. It doesn't have a CPU, so technically it's a mini computer, not a microcomputer. So it has 16-bit ALU implemented in AMD bit slice ALU chips. The whole thing is 4 cards that are about that big. And it is a beast of a machine to try and get working.
How is it going?
Badly.
Hopefully today you go back home with some working RAM.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So far it's looking not too bad. So we've got 2 dead ones, which this is saving me a lot of time. So I'm very
How many modules did you have today?
36. No, not 36. 22.
22 modules.
Tested today. Yeah.
Wow. I forgot to ask your name.
Mark.
Hi, Mark. I then met Daniel and his Victor 9000, a quite incredible 8088 machine capable of doing very unusual things. But it could not run AutoCAD? Can I ask your name?
Yes, Daniel.
Daniel.
Yeah.
Thank you, Daniel, for your time.
You're very welcome. Victor 9000 or an act series.
Victor 9000.
Yeah. No, I haven't fixed it yet.
Okay.
It was designed by Chuck Peddle of Commodore.
Yes.
And this is, on the top here is a floppy controller. It's a totally...
That is just a floppy controller.
Yeah. There's no actual electronics on the drives themselves.
Okay.
So it's running all of the motors and heads.
Where is this computer from?
1981. It was just before the IBM PC.
Okay.
So they started producing these. They did fairly well in Europe because they were sort of available before the IBM PC. It's got 896k of RAM in this one.
That's a lot.
And it can use all of it.
What software does it run?
Runs MS-DOS
Okay.
and CPM86.
Okay.
It was running AutoCAD yesterday.
Ah.
And now it is no longer running AutoCAD. But
So it is working. Up to some point.
up to some point, I've just been trying to work out what the problem is. So I've been running memory tests.
Okay. What's the CPU of this?
8088.
Oh, that's one of those monitors with the very long retention.
Yeah, it's actually
Was it intentional for what reason?
word processing and things. It's very easy to work on. It doesn't strain your eyes.
Oh, because they don't flicker.
No flicker at all. Right. So
Super Star Trek. I'm a Trekkie.
USS Enterprise, her 5-year mission to explore new worlds, seek out lost civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before. When ready to accept command, press any key.
This is impressive.
Area. Condition red. Shields dangerously low.
Wow, this is impressive. It's like on an 8088.
8088 and that's sampled speech.
Does it have a speech module of something?
It has a codec chip in it, which they made a software toolkit to sort of use it, basically. This is actually a BASIC program. It's just running in Microsoft BASIC. But it's using an external library which is able to access the codec.
Robert is working on an Arduino board which can run 6502 code, but something fell off the board. What's your name first?
Robert, Judge B.
Hi.
So basically, the idea is to make an Arduino
Yes.
that runs 6502 code. So that's basically the prototype of what we've got at the moment. So it has a 6502. There's no emulation or anything like that.
Okay.
Two 6522s, some RAM. In fact, there's 2 megabytes of RAM on that chip, but I'm only using 32K, so I can't think what else to do with it. And I've got what's a ferroelectric RAM, so you read and write to it basically like RAM. There's a little timing issue you have to deal with, but it's completely non-volatile, so it survives power off and reset. And then I've got a UART and a USB to serial bridge. These won't work because there's an error in the design. Which I've been debugging this weekend.
And that is like a debugging board?
Exactly the same.
It's the same board, it's just bigger for you to debug it.
It's just bigger.
Okay.
And I'm trying some new software and a new USB bridge, and none of it's worked. And I finally discovered why none of it's working, and that's because the crystal is not on the board. There's no clock at all. So of course nothing will work.
Not my help. I'm not sure 100%. And finally, Mark showed me a quite incredible version of Elite, running in 3D on a coprocessor BBC Master like mine. No emulations or modern trickeries, just old-fashioned coding. Hello.
Hello.
What's your name?
My name's Mark Moxley.
Mark. Hello, Mark.
Hello.
What have you got here?
Well, I've got a mod that I've made to Elite on the BBC Micro with a 6502 second processor to add Anaglyph 3D, which is the red and cyan 3D effect that you get in really old rubbish 3D movies. It's not groundbreaking. This is not VR, but this is all running on authentic 80s hardware. So this could have been released back in the day had it been built. So you need these glasses, red and blue. Yeah. What I'm seeing here is I've got the rotating Cobra on the title screen of Elite, and it is definitely in front of the screen for me. Now, not everybody can see this effect, and to be honest, it's quite you won't see it on this video.
Oh, no.
But that's kind of rotating in front, and the reason that's rotating in front is that it's drawn twice, slightly apart, in 3D space, one for each eye, so it gives a 3D effect.
How long did it take for you to reprogram this?
This one was probably a couple of months, but I had already analysed all of the code and just needed to drop in the extra graphics routines to plot everything twice. The hard part is actually not the ships, because they're already in 3D space within the game. The hard part is things like the planet and the sun and the stars, because they're actually kind of smoke and mirrors, and they're not really 3D. So to make them 3D, you have to apply separation and parallax switches. So actually the spinning Cobra on the title screen turned out to be the easy part. Who knew that? Yeah, it came together rather well. So it's another hacked version of Elite with a completely pointless but rather entertaining.
No, this is to me. My mind is just not pointless. And I'm sure who is watching this video doesn't think that.
Brilliant. Well, that's good to hear.
Thank you for your time.
No, thank you.
And that's it for the show. There was so much more to see, and the vibe was great. Now, let's sit down with Ian and let's see what we can do for my BBC Master. Hi Ian, this is Ian, is going to help me with the, this is a BBC Master, not a micro. Now I only have one microphone, so maybe you won't be able to hear Ian, but we'll see what happens.
Probably for the best.
Don't be too bad. So, Ian is, are you an acorn?
I have an acorn or two.
Okay, so you know what we're talking about?
Not really.
Not really. Perfect. So we don't know what we're talking about. We'll give it a go. But he's been in one of these machines before. You have one at home.
I have one of these.
He has one at home. So at least we know where to start. And hopefully, if the machine works, finger crossed, people around me might have some tools to load software. Because I don't know, I wouldn't know where to start.
Okay.
So let's give it a start.
Cool.
So what do I do?
Well, first thing
Turn it
is...
on. No. There's a reef and a password.
There's two, I think.
Two reefers.
I think
so. We don't want that.
So we need to flip it the other way up. There are 4 screws, I think, on the bottom. It's shorter.
Right. So we have a battery here.
We have a battery.
I don't see I don't see damage. Do you agree?
No, I think that we're looking
Okay,
at that.
that's good. Power supply is coming out with 5 volts.
Yep.
Okay, so it's only 5 volts out. What is this? This is 5 volts, 5 volts, 5 volts.
It's all 5 volts.
And this is the battery 9 volts.
Yes.
Okay. So I guess we take out the power supply, remove the reefer.
Yep. And the paint is that grommet there.
Okay. Make sure that the output's 5 volts.
Yep.
And then we can try and power up the machine.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, as I said, they're stiff.
It's supposed to be, they're designed to be stiff. No stiff, no connection.
Yeah. Motherboard looks in good shape.
Yeah, good. Okay, and then we have this too as well. Once the power supply was removed and opened, we spotted the 2 reefers Ian mentioned. They didn't look so happy, so we replaced them. Yes. I'll revise this power supply later in the workshop. For now, the reefers are being removed and replaced with something that is not a smoke grenade. When it was finally time to test, I had no life whatsoever from the power supply. And when we went to test the resistance on the mains lead, we had 0. That shouldn't be possible. I should be able to read some resistance on the mains lead. No reading can only mean that the internal fuse is blown, or the switch is broken, or the cable itself is damaged. Off we go, opening the power supply again. The fuse is okay, but it doesn't take much to spot the problem. Oh, I forgot to solder it back. When I removed the second reefer, I accidentally removed too much solder from an adjacent joint. The mains leads were basically not connected to the PCB. A little solder resolved the problem, and when we finally went to test the power supply again, we had the required 5 volts out of it.
5 volts. 5.0.
The power supply also outputs minus 5 volts and plus 12 volts for the floppy drive, which were close enough. 12-ish.
Yeah. Cool.
Right, now we go. All the capacitors nicely charged.
Yeah, that's right. So thankfully they're not.
With the power supply back in the BBC Master and the coprocessor board removed for safety, it was time to say my usual magic words. 3, 2, 1, go.
That sounds good.
The BBC Master beeped as expected, and Ian tells me that the quite loud noise from the speaker is normal. Is it supposed to make this noise?
Yeah, it's pretty noisy.
My capture device confirms that there is life out of the machine, though the composite quality is just awful. The machine is reset because the battery is dead, and it took Ian a little time to apply some basic configurations so that we could run a simple basic program. The evening was approaching and ABUG attendees were leaving. Some had to travel a lot to be there. I got some advice on what to do next and I started packing my stuff. Let me thank everybody at ABUG and stardock.co.uk for welcoming me and for helping with this machine. Now let's drive back home on this unusually April sunny day and continue working on my workbench. And we are back in the workshop. Now there are 2 things I'd like to sort out before doing anything else. The first one, I'd like to take out the power supply. I'll show you why. And that's the reason why I wanted to open the power supply. When I was at ABUG, I didn't have a capacitor with the right pitch. Well, actually, I had it. I still have it here, but it happens to be a reefer. And you know reefers, they can go up in smoke, even though this is brand new. And triggering the fire alarm at ABUG was a big no-no, so I didn't want to risk it, and I went with that one. However, I had to extend the legs, and when I went to solder the capacitor on the PCB, well, the extension just desoldered itself, so I had to leave it detached from the PCB like that, which I really didn't like. Now, I don't care if the reefer goes up in smoke in my workshop, and anyway, it's a brand new one, so it should work. What do you think about it? Are you happy with replacing a blown reefer with a brand new reefer? Do you think it's gonna last? Are you avoiding reefer at all costs? Leave a comment down below, because I'm quite curious. On this occasion, I'm gonna install this one because it fits perfectly fine. So let's replace it. Let's give the power supply a quick test, and because the reefer is involved, 3, 2, 1, go. Got 5 volts, no smoke. The unit is drawing 5.5 watts, so everything seems to be, I guess, fine, and we can put it back and move to the second thing I want to address before moving on to anything else. The other thing I wanted to sort out was the video output. When I was at ABUG, the video output was absolutely atrocious. So I should have made a nice cable adapter for my RGB to HDMI. And I have flashed the proper firmware to get the BBC Master as an input to the RGB to HDMI. Now, I haven't tested this myself. Is it gonna work? Let's try. Let's turn this on. 3, 2, 1, go. Yes, amazing. I do see something, and we are back to where we were, but this time we can actually read the screen, which is great. Now we can finally do a little bit of progress, and the next thing that needs to be done on this machine is the battery pack. Now, the machine, as I understand, I know nothing about this machine, is starting in the state because let's say the BIOS wipes every time, the configuration resets every time because the batteries are completely depleted. So let's take this out, swap the batteries, and then we can finally start playing with this machine and, see what we can do and see if it works. I'm told that this is not the Acorn original battery pack. Someone's replaced it with 3 regular batteries, and I believe there is a resistor and a diode in here. Resistor is to drop the voltage, I guess, and the diode is to prevent the BBC Master to recharge these batteries. Now, everything is completely rusted in here. There's no point in trying to recover this. I'm hoping, yeah, that should fit totally fine. The only thing I didn't realize is that this came with one of these connectors. I should have bought one of the other with the same connector. It would have been so simple. And unfortunately, I bought one of this. Not the end of the world. I guess I'll remove this one and do another little bodge in here. I don't want to try and remove this heat shrink, which is, yeah, it's going to be a pain. So I'll just chop it off. I'll try to be elegant and do it nicely. And then it's done, basically. There's nothing else to be done. And we got 4.5 volts, which I think is what's required for the BBC Master. Well, I went to replug the battery. I think the connector is broken because I see something inside. It's a metal part, I think. I think it's just part. No, I lost it inside the connector. And yes, the connector is broken. So let me find another one somewhere. When it comes to these old machines, there's plenty of projects online to update them, expand them, mod them. It's literally, there's a massive community for the BBC series. And if you stumble on a project online which requires a PCB manufactured, well, PCBWay is your stop. The process is very simple. You just need to upload the Gerber file on PCBWay.com. The system is very simple, more or less automatic. You just need to select the postal service and the PCBs will be delivered at your place. PCBWay has been my trusted partner for PCB manufacturing for quite some time, and I can guarantee you that you won't be disappointed. The quality is always top-notch. Take a look at PCBWay.com, and the link is also down below in the description. And let me thank PCBWay for sponsoring my videos on my channels, because their help makes these videos possible. So thank you very much, PCBWay. Now, let's continue with this BBC Master. Time to reconfigure this BBC Master. I understand I have to hold the R for reset and power up. 3, 2, 1, go. No. Because it's unplugged. Of course, it doesn't work if it's unplugged. It's not wireless. 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, we got the CMOS RAM reset. Press brake to continue. Brake. There we go. I'm following some instructions. As I said, I'm not familiar with this machine. It's actually quite cool that I'm learning, and I'm linking these the instructions I'm following down below in the description. At this point, I should press Control D brake. Control D brake. No. That's it. This is not a language. That's what I'm expecting. And then I understand that this machine has what's called the Mega ROM with lots of ROMs in it, and we got terminal, view, acorn, basic, etc. Let me input all the configuration I have on these instructions, then I guess we can try and run basic and see if we can run the usual hello world. Oh, we are in basic, look at that. Yeah, it's working. It's so cool. Now, one thing I'm not sure about, but my friend Ian says it's supposed to be normal. The speaker is very noisy, especially when there's some code being running. It's quite loud to me. Is this normal? Is this supposed to happen? Anyways, let me continue with this configuration. Aha, configuration is changed. Now I have a complete different type of screen. The noise from the speaker has changed. I'm in basic, acorn tube. I need to check, tube 65C102 coprocessor. So I think it sees this extra board, which is an extra coprocessor. And now it's time to set the date. Okay, well, I understand that time is supposed to show the time, which is just input. And apparently when you get gibberish out of it, it means that the battery is low. But I've just set it up, so I'm not sure what's happening here. No, I'm still getting gibberish, so I'll have to look into that. But I think if I check the configuration, hopefully is the one I've configured before. Yes, I believe this is what I configured before, so hopefully it will stay. And it works totally fine. I probably had an extra space I didn't realize, or I can't go to 2025, I don't know, but it works totally fine. And also apologies, I didn't realize the RGB to HDMI was not configured properly. There was some fringing, which is now resolved. Now, obviously, to test this machine, I need some software, and in order to load software, I went ahead and purchased the Gotek, which I never used before. I tested it on a PC to make sure that it works. It does work. I never tested in here, so let me find some software, and we'll try to run it. And now the Gotek only runs on 5 volts, it doesn't need 12 volts, and I have 5 volts on a capacitor there, which is in between ground and 5 volts, and I have a floppy cable going at the back, the bottom of the unit, where it says floppy drive or disk drive, whatever it says, and this is a straight cable, the twist is on this little segment here, which is not connected to the Gotek. I found a menu structure online on stardot.co.uk, which I've downloaded and placed on this USB stick. First thing first, let's try and power it up and see if it works. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, yeah, the Gotek is on and I see an image being loaded. I think if I hit shift and brake, yes, which I did more or less, it should try and do something. No, the machine seems to be stuck. Even the caps lock is not working anymore. Let's try this again. Control brake. And again, shift brake. Alright, I had a look online and it turns out for the BBC Master to work with the Gotek is supposed to be set on S0, which is a different jumper here. And hopefully it's gonna work now. Let's give it a go again. Yes, it's doing something. Oh, there you go. Oh, look at that. That's just so amazing. It's an amazing menu structure with quite a lot of software. Look at that. Oh, wow. There is quite a lot in here. The Gotek actually seems to be pretty fast. Is it gonna work? Oh, no, it's not gonna work. Not found, which I have no idea what it means. Aha, right, I'm trying without the coprocessor. It might need some extra configuration or it might be faulty, and it seems to be working. Let's have a look. Ah! Right, it's working totally fine. This is so cool, and the RGB to HDMI is providing an amazing picture. Absolutely fantastic. Now let's see if we can find something else. And yes, I've been told that one of the versions of Elite can run on the second processor, and obviously I don't have it on the board, and it says this program needs a 6502 second processor. So that's the perfect software to test our tube or the coprocessor with the 6502 on it. Oh, no, it's saying not found. So I need to have a look online. Maybe that needs to be activated somehow. I found online a PDF when it comes to configured the tube is to type this configure tube. I think this is just to enable the thing. And then I have configure in tube or X tube, depending whether I'm using, I think, the internal connection or the external at the bottom of the unit. Now that should be the in tube. And yes, now I have internal tube, while I think if I select X tube, yeah, now I have external tube. So let's try with external tube, but I don't think it applies on these configuration. I think this should be the internal tube. No, still the same message. So let's try. I can't remember how it was before. Let's try with the internal tube again. And no, I still have the same error message. Now, I know that some of this board is working because when I'm resetting the machine, it says Acorn Tube 65C102 coprocessor. So it's definitely being recognized. If I remove it, it goes away. Now I'm wondering whether it's a software issue or maybe we might have a hardware fault on this machine. And stardot.co.uk came to help again. They recommended using a different version of Elite, which I placed on this USB stick. And let's see what happens. Oh, well, okay. Well, I guess this is just the menu. It's called the Elite Compendium. So let's try the BBC Master second processor Elite, which is this one. See if it works. The best version of CoPro Elite. It's doing something. It's loading music into RAM. Okay. Press any key to play Elite. Is it gonna work? Yes. Oh, look at that. And we got the Elite coprocessor version. Now I'm curious. Oh, well, okay. Alright, I've been tinkering with Elite for a little while, and the bottom line is, I don't know how to play it. It's not a simple game, so rather than showing you a very long sequence where I basically don't do anything with Elite and there's nothing really happening on screen, I've been recommend a little demo, which is called Twin Hit. And the demo is designed to take advantage of the coprocessor of a BBC Master like this and show its full potential on screen. I'm going to show you a shortened version of this demo. For the full demo, you can follow a link down below in the description. And I'm told that if you know this kind of machines, what you're about to see is more or less mind-blowing. Well, that worked totally fine, so we know that the coprocessor is working, also Elite is working, and that was pretty much mind-blowing. Now, let me play with something else before we move to the next thing I'd like to mod on this machine. Oh no. Oh no, no. There we go. Why? Alright, well, this is working totally fine. Some glitches every now and then, including with my RGB to HDMI, which I wasn't expecting, but everything seems to be working totally fine. And again, if I had this machine, I would probably educate myself to try and learn how to use it a bit better, because right now I'm just pushing buttons hoping that something happens on screen. As I said, the composite output of the BBC Master is black and white only, and I've got SK9 on the schematics, which is our output. It's being driven by a transistor, it's Q13. Now, if I follow the base of the transistor, which is getting the signal that eventually becomes our video output, I see there is an LK11. It's a little link, which is not available on this board. It would be on revision 2, but anyways, the principle is the same. If I linked that link and I joined the wire, it goes through a 470 picofarad capacitor, and then eventually it's going to the emitter of a transistor Q12, which is being driven by IC40, which is the chroma chip. So the idea of adding that little missing link is to basically send the color burst, so color instruction, to the composite output. Now, the reason that this machine was born with a monochrome composite is that if you go with monochrome, the quality is better for text. But if you want the color one, again, revision 2, you had to add a little link. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to identify an area where to place a little resistor, which I don't happen to have. I only have a 330 picofarad resistor. I haven't got a 470. I'm curious to see whether this is going to work. Usually, when it comes to capacitors, the values are not too strict, because capacitors by themselves, they have quite a wide tolerance, but that's the one I have, and we're going to try this one and see what happens. I'm now wired via Composite, and I can see the horrible Composite with crawling everything. Now you can see that the output is definitely black and white, but my converter somehow is expecting color, because obviously you can see you have lots of crawling, colored, fringing everywhere, which means I think the converter is expecting a color picture. Well, well, the picture is a complete disaster. I think it's like black and white plus some probably phasing issues and which the converter is interpreting as blotches of color, but it's definitely not acceptable and it's definitely not color. In order to close the link, which doesn't exist on this revision of the board, I basically have to place my capacitor in between the base of Q13 and the emitter of Q12. Now this is Q12 and this is Q13, and I can see that the base of Q13 is connected to the fourth resistor from the top on the left side, while the emitter of Q12 is connected to the third resistor here on the left. So I basically need to just piggyback the capacitor in between these 2 points. Capacitor is installed. Let's see if it works. 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, we do have a picture and actually looks much better. I guess because now the signal has a color burst, so the converter knows what to do with it. And we have colors. It looks pretty awful. So again, this is not great for working with a word processor, for example, but we definitely have color. Well, it works. It does work. Obviously, the RGB to HDMI is far superior than that, but at least, you know, there's a way that you can use this thing to have a color on the composite output in case that's the only output, the only input you have on your device. This is done. I'm going to leave this modification in place and then my friend will decide what to do. I have no idea whether he has a monitor or he can do with the RGB, which is 100% the best choice to run this machine. The final thing I'd like to do in this machine is to fix the year 2000 issue that I couldn't set 2025 as a date. And apparently the date on this machine is hard-coded in the ROM. All we can do is basically change it from 19 to 20. I mean, nobody's ever gonna use 1990 something. So the simplest way is just to change the hard-coded 19 to 20. That leaves in the ROM or the Mega ROM, which is this one, and it seems like a simple task. Remove it, extract the software, extract the ROM, change it, reprogram it, and put it back. Unfortunately, this is not a rewritable ROM. It's a masked ROM. It's manufactured that way. It doesn't have the rewriting facility, so it's actually lacking the programming pins, the write enable, the programming voltage. So this is a 1 megabit ROM, but it only has 28 pins, while these 1 megabit ROM I have in my hand here, it's a 32 pins. So we have to build a quick adapter involving some sockets and some wiring around to be able to basically use this one on that one. So I found online a copy of that ROM, which should be already fixed with the year 2000 problem. We'll take a look in a second. I'm going to program it on this one, and then I'm going to make a little adapter. So this is an AT29C010, and it's one that doesn't need ultraviolet to be wiped. This is the ROM file I found online. It should contain all the separate sections, the operating system, basic, and everything else. I've already concatenated, already in the right place. Now, according to this website, the byte to change is at address 1D881 from 19 to 20. Let's have a look. And this is 1D881, and I got 20 in it. So that should tell me that this ROM is already year 2000 compliant. So let's program the IC. And it worked totally fine. Now let me build a small adapter and hopefully this is ready to work in the BBC Master. All right, I made the adapter. Whether it's gonna work or not, I'm not sure. Let's try it. Right, I'm really not sure as I had to add an extra socket because there's a capacitor in the way. In my mind, I thought it was offset on the right hand side, but actually it's offset on the left hand side. I don't think it's gonna work, but let's try it. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh no! Well, wow! It works. I am incredibly impressed. I wasn't expecting this contraption to work. So let me switch to the RGB to HDMI for better quality, and then we'll try the date. Oh, look at that! It actually worked. Oh, fair enough. Okay, I had absolutely no confidence in this to work, but it's actually working. I don't think that's a permanent solution. That's going to ask him for trouble because obviously a socket on a socket on a socket is going to be just the festival of the bad contacts or the false contacts. So don't do that at home, but it worked. Well, this machine is working totally fine. It's been quite fun to play with it, even though there were no major problems with the machine. Just, you know, bits and bobs, the battery, the power supply, the ROM. That wasn't really an issue. I mean, the ROM is still working. I am so impressed. As with my only other... This is my second Acorn machine. I was thoroughly impressed by the first one, which was an ARM processor, so a completely different architecture. This is not ARM yet, but yeah, it feels so professional. The keyboard is amazing, and I don't know, I really like the way this works, the quality of the picture, the colors, the sound, and all the expansions of this machine. Now I understand why this machine is so highly considered within the community, and especially obviously here in the UK, being the BBC Master. As I said, this machine is going back to Portugal, to my friend Peters. Thank you very much for letting me play with this. It's a win-win situation. I get a chance to play with the machine and make a video, and he's getting a machine which is, in this case, working, or at least he knows the state of it. So I guess we reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you did, as usual, I'd appreciate a thumb up down below, and also consider subscribing to this channel if you like this kind of things. Don't forget I'm on Facebook and on Patreon, and the links are also down below in the description. There is a free tier on Patreon, so no excuses, but if you don't want to join me on Patreon, which is very much understandable, well, maybe you can buy me a coffee. And the link is also down below in the description. If you don't want to buy me a coffee, well, I appreciate your time here. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you're having a great day. That's it for today. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon here on my channel for my next videos. Thank you very much, and goodbye. Bye-bye.